Good morning, Knights. It's Mrs. Hackensmith. Welcome back from our long weekend. It was nice having Friday and Monday off. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, and we are going to start week 6 of our distance learning. So yesterday, Monday, Mom and Dad should have come to the school and picked up your packet. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to go through the things that you should find in your packet. One bag had everything from your desk. If you left anything in your locker, you had a bag full of your locker things. And then the other bag should have had your matrix and your folder. Now I want to talk to you about the math book. The math book that was in your desk stuff, we're not going to use any of those math pages. We pulled out all of the math pages from your math book that we're going to do together for these last few weeks of school. So these in your folder, keep them in your folder because this is what you're going to use during our math lesson. And then for today, there should have been a game on top. I've already cut mine apart, but I'm going to show you the game that we're going to play a little bit later on. All right, so you have your math papers that are stapled together. Keep those in your folder. Anything you want to do in the math book, you can do on your own, but these must stay in your folder, and we'll work on those together. In the envelope, you found your matrices. This is for week 7, 8, 9, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we are going to start with week 6. Okay, and I'm just going to set my other matrices over here, keep them in a safe spot so I can use them in the weeks to come. Alrighty, so then you should have had your second grade distance learning reading packet, and this has all of the papers that we're going to be doing together, stapled together. Remember to do them with me. Every morning we'll watch a video and then we'll do something out of our packet perhaps. And so make sure you do not work ahead on this. Just do it with me. We also put your Scholastic News into your folder. Leave those in your folder. Then you won't lose any of this. We put them in order. We're going to read about this stinky plant first of all. Keep everything in your folder. And then it'll be nice and neat and you won't lose them. All of the Scholastic News are in the order that we're going to do them, and your paper has been put inside that you are going to need for the lesson when it comes time for that. So keep this in your folder. Also in your folder, you will find my second grade memory book. At the end of second grade, we've always put together a memory book. We felt bad that we weren't able to do that this year. So this isn't as big as what we normally do, but it does have some very important papers in it. So you can look through it, but we are not going to do it right now. We are going to wait and do the pages together. Okay? So it's okay to look through, but then put it back in your folder and leave it there. And then it'll be all ready when it comes time to work on our memory book. And then, of course, the queen of word searches. I just put a couple word searches in there for you. They're pretty hard. You can do these whenever you want just for fun. They are just for fun. You don't have to put them on Seesaw unless you want to show me how good of a job you're doing. All right, so I think that is everything that was in your folder. Some of you have your birthday books that were in your folder. If you had a birthday coming up in the spring or the summer, we weren't going to be able to celebrate together, so I put your birthday book and your bookmark and your book sticker into your folder. So you have your birthday book. And we wish you happy birthday when your birthday comes around. All right, so I think that's about it. I think we're ready to do our reading lesson. Okay, we've got everything in our folder. So I think we are good to go. So what I'm going to do today, we finished our lines at lunchtime. I hope you enjoyed that book. What we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our Mondo curriculum books, And so our first book that we're going to do from Mondo is a book called Thinking About Ants. It is getting to be ant season. I was out with my dog just a minute ago and there was an ant crawling on my garage. So it definitely is ant season. So this is a nonfiction book. Remember, nonfiction means that it is true. There are facts, and it is real. Even though this one has pictures that are drawn, it does not have photos. This is still nonfiction, even though it has drawings, because it gives us factual, true information about ants. Okay? The focus for our story while we read through it, I want you to think about the text features. One of the features that we see on the cover is we see the title, Thinking About Ants. Notice how the important words all have a capital letter. We see the author, person who wrote the book, by Barbara Brenner, and we see illustrated by Carol Schwartz. Remember, the illustrator is the person who drew the pictures. Alrighty, so we're going to be looking for other information as we read through our book, and I'll talk to you about that when we go under the book camera. I'm going to read the blurb on the back. It says, how would it be to be an ant? How big would you be? What would you eat? Where would you live? Explore the answers to these questions and more in this book. Just for crawling with ants. All right, so this is the book that we are going to do. So let's go over to the book camera. Be right there. Okay, so here we are at the book camera, and what I'd like to do is, you know how on my easel at school, I would put up the big chart paper and we would go over the information about the story before we would actually read the story. And normally this would be a big book that we would put on the easel, but I didn't bring the big book home with me. I just brought home the small book. So let's take a look. Some of the text features that we are going to be looking for as we read through the story today, Thinking About Ants. We're going to be looking at the pictures or the photos, and then we're going to be looking at labels. Labels are little words like on a diagram that give us more information about the story. And then there's something new called a cutaway. And I just learned about this too. I mean, I didn't know that there was a specific word for this text feature, so I learned something new too. So I'm going to teach you about what I learned about a cutaway when we get to that part in the book. Now, this is a nonfiction book. Why do you think the author wrote this book? Think back to in school when we went over that, it was an anchor chart about pie, and I had drawn a pie on there and divided it into 3 sections. And we know that sometimes an author writes a book to persuade you or to talk you into thinking the way that they think. An author might write a book to inform you, to give you information about something. Or an author might write a book to entertain you, just so that you have a fun, good time reading it. Now, even though the author might be using persuade or inform, hopefully you're entertained and you enjoy the story too. Alrighty, so when we are done with this book, I want you to be able to tell me the author's purpose. Why did the author write the book? Now, before we read our book about ants, I want you to think about some things that you already know about ants. Normally, we do a KWL chart. What do you know? What do you want to find out? And then what did you learn? We're going to do the know part. So I don't have you here to give me any answers. So I'm just going to kind of tell you maybe a couple of things that you guys maybe would have brought up if I were to ask you this question in the classroom. So what do you know about ants? I'm sure some of you would say that ants are small. I'm sure some of you would have said that ants are insects. or bugs. I'm sure some of you would have said that ants have 6 legs. Okay. Something somebody else might have said about ants is that maybe they are kind of a pest, like at a picnic. Maybe they are a pest. Okay. Anything else that you could think about ants? Let's see. Like where do they live? We know that they live underground. And then, what color are ants? Yeah, I've seen brown ants or black ants. So I'm going to say brown or black. Okay. And then when I watch the jungle shows on TV, sometimes there's red ants too. So we could put down red ants. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes they bite, don't they? Some of those jungle ants can actually bite. All right, so I think those are some good ideas to think about before we read our book. Now, there's a star down here. It says, this book is written in a special way. It is from the ant's perspective. So that means that if you were as small as an ant, the book is written how you would see things in the world. So everything would probably look pretty gigantic to you if you were an ant. So as we're reading through this book, I want you to remember to pretend that you are an ant, and this is how the ant sees the world. Okay, here we go. Thinking about ants. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to look at the matrix. We should probably see what we need to do when we're done with this story. Okay, so we are going to, when you are done with the YouTube video, we are going to write 4 facts that you learned about ants from the story on page 1 of your reading packet. So if you get your reading packet and you look on page 1, here's our reading packet, and we look on page 1, it says writing about ants. Write some facts you learned about ants. All right, so this is what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be looking for facts. Remember, facts are things that are true, always true. Okay, sorry about that. Got to know why we're reading this. Okay, so thinking about ants. Now here's an idea for a little while. Think about ants. Begin by looking. Get up close to an ant. Study it. Try to put yourself in the ant's place. Think, how would it be to be an ant? So, of course, this is an enlarged picture of an ant because ants are not that big. The biggest ants are about the size of our thumb, and the littlest ants can fit inside of an apple seed. So ants do come in different sizes, but they're all pretty small. If you look carefully at this picture, these are the petals, and this is the inside of maybe like a daisy flower. There's some sort of flower here, and the ant is inside the flower. First of all, think small. Because the largest ant in the world is only about the size of a person's thumb, and some ants are small enough to hide inside an apple seed. So think tiny. Remember when we were at the Nature Center and we cut open the apple and we saw the apple seed in the star? They weren't very big. So this is pretend you're an ant and you're seeing a piece of an apple slice It might look pretty big to you because you're so small. Now think of color. Black, blue, brown, red, yellowish, or greenish. An ant can be any of these colors. Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought maybe black, brown, and red. An ant could be any of these colors. So what color ant would you want to be? So here's some greenish, yellowish, brown and red. A little bit of black on that one over there. Next, think about the body of an ant. Imagine it's outside, light and tough, and hard like a shell, not soft like skin. Notice the ant's shape, a body with 3 parts. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 6 legs instead of 2. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's his 6 legs. So 3 body parts, 6 legs, different colors. The outside of his body is hard like a shell. Those are some pretty good facts to remember. Oh, here's a close-up. How would it be to have an ant face? 2 huge eyes, a mouth, and a pair of scissor jaws. They bite and tear. No ears, no nose. Instead, 2 hairy feelers on your head to wave around like magic wands. They'd catch the smell of something in the air. So he doesn't have a nose, but he uses his feelers to be able to sense and smell things that are in the air. It looks like he's eating. Looks like a grasshopper leg. So he's eating some meat, isn't he? They can catch the scent of food. What do ants eat? Some eat meat. They eat other bugs. A snack of a dead bug. It's kind of hard to see, but down here is like a dead beetle. And over here is a dead fly of some sort. He has wings on him, and they're eating him. A hunk of worm. Over here, there's a worm on the ground, and they're eating the worm. A bite of lizard. Here's the lizard's tail, and then here's his leg. You can see the back part of his body. They're taking little bites out of him. Or an ant will munch on a piece of hot dog left from someone's picnic lunch. So is this the hot dog bun that somebody left for their lunch? They're taking little nibbles out of that. Now look at how big these things are. This is a dandelion. So imagine that dandelion out in your grass, and this is how big they are compared to the little ants. And this is a little part of a hot dog bun. And look at how big it is compared to the ant. Some ants eat seeds. Down here are some seeds. Some eat fruit. Here are some fruit. Others sip honeydew from tiny aphids. So over here under the leaf is a little bug called an aphid, and they're sucking from them. There are even ants that eat each other. Some ants bite. Some ants sting. Others squirt smelly acid when they're scared. If you were an ant, what would you be afraid of? I think I'd be afraid of anything that's bigger than me, and so that's pretty much a lot out in the world. Ants are pretty tiny. Maybe a stomping foot, a hungry flicker, a spiny anteater. Heavy rain, that could wash you away if you were an ant. Bug spray, yeah, I wouldn't want anybody spraying bug spray on me. Even toads. One flick of that tongue and you're a goner. But the scariest thing in an ant's life might be another ant that's an enemy. So take a look here. We have the brown and the black ants, and they're actually fighting each other. They are not getting along, and they are in a battle right here. Where do ants live? In the dark, inside a dead tree, under a rock, under the ground, with a mound of dirt or sand to mark the spot. All right, now remember I talked about that text feature called a cutaway? This is a perfect example of a cutaway. Here's the log, and normally the ants are inside the log, but we cannot see through the bark. There's no window there. So a cutaway is when they cut the item in half and you can see inside. It's almost as if there was a big window here and you could see what's going on inside the log. Here we are under the rock, and then this is the ground, and over here is the ground. So what they've done is they've cut away part of the ground in the front so that you can see what's going on inside the earth. Now, normally inside the earth, there aren't any windows or any way to get light in there, and so they live in darkness. It's very dark under the earth. And here's all of the tunnels and all of the busy work. So this text feature is a cutaway. Part of the picture has been cut away so you can see inside. An ant can live in a house, between the cracks in the floor or behind the kitchen cupboard door. Even the green stem of a plant can be a home to an ant. Yeah, sometimes we'd get little sugar ants in my cupboards and we'd have to put out some ant killer. I don't like to share my kitchen with ants, no. So here's another cutaway, what they've done so you can see inside the plant stem. Think about living in dark places, but imagine lots of company, sisters, brothers, and family living and working together because an ant can't live alone. That's another interesting fact. So we've learned about where they live. We've learned that they do not live alone. Back here at this picture of the cutaway, you can see all of the ants together. All of the ants are living and working together. So they do not live by themselves. In the ant nest, everyone has a job. What would you do if you were an ant? Would you hunt for food? For everyone to share? Would you help to build the nest? Could you carry something twice as big as you? Would you lick the ant eggs and feed the little larvae that hatch out? Would you help an ant come out from a cocoon? The ants that do these things are called worker ants. Excuse me. So here is another picture of a cutaway. And then in this picture, we see labels. So that's another text feature that gives us more information about understanding the text. So let's start up here at the top. We have the ant bringing the seed to the nest. Here's the opening. Here's a soldier ant, and he's guarding the entrance. So if you're not one of their ants, he's not going to let you in. This ant is working on removing dirt from the nest to build a new tunnel. Here's where they stockpile or keep all of the ant food. And then look at, they might eat other insects too. So if they find an insect, they might put the dead insect in there too. This looks kind of like the kitchen where they store the food. Then, if you look over here, this big ant, this is the queen ant. There's only one queen ant and she's busy laying eggs. And while she's laying the eggs, the workers are taking care of the eggs. This one's building a new part of the nest. Then some of the worker ants watch over the hatching larvae. These workers are tending the half-grown larva. Over here, the larva is being cared for. And then here, the ants are feeding each other. And this is a pupa. So these are the different stages of the life of the ant before it becomes an ant. From its egg to its larva state, to its pupa, and then finally to the adult ant. Pretty cool. These cutaways are nice. You can see what's going on in there. Now, there are soldier ants too. They guard the nest. They stand at the entrance, alert, swinging their feelers, picking up all strange shapes and smells. And if an invading army comes, they're fierce. They tear their enemies to pieces with their sharp jaws. A soldier ant can bite a strange bug's head off. They're pretty vicious. Now think about the biggest ant in the nest. She's the mother of all the other ants. She's the only one who can lay eggs. All the other ants take care of her because she is the queen. A queen ant may lay 100,000 eggs in her lifetime. One day she may lay an egg that will hatch into another queen. Like all queens, that ant will have wings. Some damp afternoon, she'll fly away with a group of male ants. They'll mate with her, and soon after that, they'll die. Then the queen will fly off alone to make a nest of her own. She'll lose her wings and begin her work. Nest maker, egg layer, ant mother, and someday she will lay an egg that hatches out a queen. Then the whole cycle will begin again. So this was one of the baby queen ants, and now she has found her spot where she's going to make her nest, and here her wings have fallen off. And it's going to start all over again. That's how it would be to be an ant. So you would be very busy. Here the ants have found, it looks like an Oreo cookie on a picnic blanket. So you can see, and here they are carrying chunks of the cookie back to the nest. So you would be very busy to be an ant. All right, now if you need to, feel free to go back into the video and look through the story. But I think you can probably remember 4 facts that you learned about ants. So up here at the top where it says my topic, you're going to write the word ants. That's what our topic is all about. Okay? And then I want you to tell me in complete sentences 4 facts that you learned about ants. Then down here at the bottom, I want you to draw a picture. You could draw like a cutaway of the underground tunnels and everything, and you could go back into the video to find a picture of that, and you could copy that. Or whichever ant fact is your favorite. Maybe it's the fighting, I don't know. Whatever your ant fact is your favorite, you can draw a picture of that ant fact. Remember to draw it first with your pencil and then to color it in later with your crayons. All right, then if you are able to, go ahead and put it on Seesaw. And I would love it if you would record and read your ant facts to me. Sometimes it's kind of hard to read them on there. But if you record them, then I can listen to your voice and follow along while you're reading. All right, so that is your reading lesson for today. For your math lesson, let's get the matrix back out. It says you are going to learn a math game that you can play with a family member today. So in your folder, you had a piece of paper that looked like this. Kind of like it looked like a tic-tac-toe. And then you had a bunch of numbers that you need to cut apart. If you have not cut them apart, go ahead and stop the video and get them cut apart. I already cut mine apart. So I'm going to lay my numbers down here. And what you're going to do is you're going to play tic-tac-toe with a family member. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get 3 in a row that will equal 15. Okay, there's one rule though. You may not start with a 5 in the middle. You have to use a different number. Okay, so the 5 cannot go in the middle at the beginning. I don't even know if it can go in the middle at any time. I don't know. You have to keep playing for a few times and see how that works out. All right, so I'm going to pretend that I am playing with someone. And I'm going to start right here with the number 6. Okay. Now I'm going to pretend it's my friend over here's turn. And my friend is going to start with the number 7. They're going to put it over here in this corner. Now remember, I'm trying to make 15. I've got to add them all up to make 15. So I got to think, okay, I could add something to 6 or something to 7. I'm going to add my 4 right here to my 6. Now 6 plus 4 I know is 10. But now it's my friend's turn. And my friend knows that 6 plus 4 is 10. So my friend is going to put the 5 over here. And there is a tic-tac-toe that equals 15. 6 and 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. Alrighty, so once you do that, then you take all your pieces off and you play again. Alright, so this time I'll let my friend go first. So my friend's going to start off with the number 9 down here in the corner. And I'm going to start off with 8. And I'm going to put my 8 right here. Okay, now it's my friend's turn. And my friend is going to put... Now, let's see. If my friend puts the 7 here, 7 and 8 are 15. But remember, you got to have 3 in a row. Okay, so I don't have a 0, so I can't put anything there. Let me see. 9 and 7 is 16. That's too many. Okay. So I am going to put a 2 down here. All right. So my friend goes, oh, okay. 9 plus 2 is 11. So if I put a 4 here, 11 plus 4 is 15. And that is a 15 tic-tac-toe. So go ahead and play around with it and make your 15s and have fun with your family members playing the game. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.